Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live on a Thursday, September 9th at 11:29 a.m. And it's been an interesting week thus far, especially with our big downturn, and now markets seem to be off to the races. We're going to look at the charts, but I like the title of this stream. I tell you guys all the time, I think of these titles a couple of seconds beforehand, and I try to express my sentiment and how I feel and how I view the markets, as I view the macroeconomic landscape, the political positioning and chess piece moves that the government agencies are doing, and the politicians. And overwhelmingly, I get the sense that they're on the defensive, and some of the agencies have been tasked with being on the offensive, and that's just frightening in many regards, and unfortunate and disturbing. And I have my sentiment, and it doesn't really apply to where I've deployed capital. In fact, I have more conviction than ever in where I've deployed capital. And this is where I want to be, because in many regards it's the right thing to do. For me, where I've placed capital, it's meant to be. It's fate. It's destiny. And I have more conviction than ever. I want to do a lot of Q&A today mostly. We're going to look at some of the obvious charts, and obviously that'll flow into whatever emerges in this stream. Opportunity overload points me back to only few opportunities. How about that for an interesting title? We're about to have Curve and Ave unleash what we know they will unleash on Avalanche. Phantom deserves attention. It's Andre's playground. Curve's already deployed there. Solana's a bit of a walled garden, but the capital bridges are about to be unleashed when RenVM takes on its ERC20 support. It'll be a full-on interop playground, but it's not just interop across Solana; it's interop across every blockchain. So that's really the ultimate interop solution, as folks are looking for bridges like Hop Protocol or Nerve, and when you know those custodians are contract implementations, and they're still same thing, tokenized representation, but red VMs are a degree broader in scope and scale of potential application. They're far more than just a facilitator of cross-chain capital transfer, decentralized custodian of private keys and whatnot. But that's obviously the long-term narrative for the protocol and what it's capable of. Anyway, let's dig in. Today's episode is sponsored by ChangeAngel, the non-custodial swap exchange for social goods. Stop depositing on exchanges, not your keys, not your crypto, non-custodial, DeFi, or nothing at all. Bam, let's pop it over to the main screen and see who's in the stream. More lobbies in the house. Good morning, Garner. Pleasure, Dogoshi. Opportunity overload. Yeah, man, and most of it doesn't mean much to me. I find it interesting, and I could appreciate financial desperation and for many, and just for folks that have experience, a little bit more experience with these markets, there is opportunity, and the financially desperate just deploy capital unknowingly to anything. It's like the folks that see Doge on TikTok and buy, buy, buy. They have no idea what they're buying, why they're buying, how long they're buying, and they certainly don't have conviction in what they're buying. But anyone who's on this stream, almost certainly does not fit that category, or at least does not want to fit that category. So we know what we're doing. We know the chains. We know the protocols. We've talked about it for the last year and a half. So we're able to do better, and we're able to explore the opportunities. And I don't express extensive distaste for opportunism. Buy low, sell high, catching a protocol and watching it go 10x. And in many regards, folks could rightfully conclude that that's contributed a great deal to how I attained my current status. But nowadays, you guys know the deal. I like to express to you that there is different ways. There's better ways, and you don't have to do excessive. You don't have to do excessive exploration and take on excessive risk, and you can literally just do the execute the ideology that I portray nowadays. without trying to achieve extensive capital gains. Um, Savings and that kind of concept. I had a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress taking on the risk that I was taking. Now, that's not necessarily a great way to live. You're not healthy. It's much more important to be healthy and to have a rigorous process to execute. And that's what we talk about mostly nowadays. A healthy way to allocate capital rather than, and in the end, our healthy way that we talk about mostly nowadays is not going to achieve the most capital gains possible. It's not. That's 100% the case. We're not going to make as much money as possible chasing yield. But we can save and achieve goals, revenue streams, and retirement over long enough time horizons without taking the risk and experiencing the anxiety, frustration, and potential losses. Joe, I've considered your thesis on participating in protocols that span across many blockchains, and I've decided that I will ride Phantom to 10 bill market cap, then take profits and put them into Exushi and Cosmos. Now, that is a logical strategy. And in many regards, the culmination of the last year and a half worth of work for myself, that's what I did. I was able to catch some serious rips, and you guys know I've talked about the serious rips. My initial serious rips were Synthetics, Kyber, and Bancor back in like March of 2020, and Ren ripped to like a buck 70. That was crazy, but that was never a capital gains play, and I wrote it up, wrote it down, and it's back at like 80 something cents, which is just ridiculous. Um, what was my serious rips? I know Rook was a serious rip. That was a 10xer. And Polygon. I've done three plays. The entirety of my career and achievements reduced to three plays. Obviously, the first one was three assets, but I was the least experienced with the markets. March of 2020. That was literally every cycle is a new market. So March 2020 was really like coming off the 2018 bear market. And you have to get a taste and feel for how the new market is, and the completely different narrative going on in this market. You guys know the deal. DeFi, DeFi, DeFi. So you catch that capital gains, and then you place them in long-term positions. Cosmos is an incredible revenue generator. Osmo is cranking out hundreds of percent yield, and you know there was a massive Osmo airdrop, and Osmo's a Cosmos hub. So that means it's going to partake in the BSN and the China narrative. This thing just prints. It's like 260% yield on Iris Osmo and 210% on Iris Atom. Let's go over to the oh no, I don't want to go to the assets. Bear in mind, this was an airdrop. So I missed out on the DYDX airdrop, but this was the Osmo airdrop, which has appreciated significantly. It wasn't this upon initial drop, but that's extraordinary. Not pools. Yeah, pools. Look at that, 266%. So, I don't have any opinion and I don't have much to say on deploying capital to these pools because would I do that now? Probably not. I probably would deploy. I probably have like a fat Iris position. I have had an Atom position for a long time. But the only reason I have the capital in these pools is because it was literally airdropped. Osmo just goes going up in price, and so has the other Cosmos Hub assets as the DeFi narrative on Cosmos Hubs emerges. Ridiculous yield, ridiculous. Breakless. Morning Noah, thoughts on time and Avalanche? Time's a big deal. Anything Daniel does, he's a DeFi magician and has a heck of a crew. I know a lot of folks that helped launch um, Wonderland. It's basically tied in with the Ohm narrative in Olympus DAO, and Wonderland pays tribute to Olympus DAO, 33%. Um, you know, It's not overwhelmingly consistent with my investment thesis, which is why I didn't participate in the bootstrapping of the protocol, which I had an opportunity to do. Been associating myself more and more with a lot of these market actors, and they're wonderful, wonderful group of people. I've have been great. I'm grateful uh, and honored to be able to talk with a lot of these people and throw around ideas and help with what they're doing. So it's not easy to get a protocol off the ground, and it requires liquidity bootstrapping. You can't just launch a protocol with zero capital. You got to get that capital in there to get the algorithms firing. And I didn't participate. It's just not consistent with where I want to deploy capital, and that's to no discredit to the protocol and the potential of it, and the concept that Olympus DAO wants to execute on, along with Wonderland now being a fork of it, as a reserve protocol creates a reserve, which is extraordinary. Could I have participated in the liquidification, the bootstrapping of it? Yes. Did I? No. And that's okay. We don't have to own everything we want to own. We don't have to deploy capital, even if it's potentially an opportunity. And it's okay to miss opportunities. So I have good thoughts, especially on the team that created Wonderland. And I'm beginning to have decent thoughts about Olympus DAO. These are next gen, next level shadowy supercoders in all regards that are brilliant and good people. They have good intentions. That is assuredly the case, unquestionably the case, in my opinion. Wave, I love thinking of several years ahead and where Curve and Convex will be. Curve, I mean, I had the chart up. Convex is exactly what its name is. It's the flywheel for Curve. It's going to launch Curve of just vertical at some point. Protocols are fighting, and rightfully so, fighting over a convex position, CVX, for control over the Curve money machine. So as CVX appreciates in price, because protocols want to control monetary policy of Curve, is juicing the crap out of the returns on CVX CRV. So if you get it, if all of a sudden we're at 150, 200% yield on CVX CRV, that's going to pile a huge amount of capital into CVX CRV, which is locking Curve from circulating supply, a lot of buy pressure, and that's going to trigger an appreciative cascade. And the cascade is from CVX to CRV. That's what's going to play out because Curve monetary policy is a money machine. It's a value creation engine. Um, that's what it is, and that's pretty much probably what they intended it to be. And it's manifesting its destiny in many regards. Trevor, nothing but good vibes. We try around here. We try and remain humble. We know where we came from. We all want to end up in the same place. We all have a little bit of a different vision of how to get there. But the whole point of the stream is to explore the different paths, entertain everyone's ideology and ideas and risk tolerances, and make better decisions. It's the whole point of this stream. Paul, how do you hedge against U.S. crypto self-sabotage, back up El Salvador passport? Well, I'm not really apocalyptic in thought in many regards. I don't have a bunker, and I don't have an extensive reserve of food supplies. I'm mostly an optimistic person. I expect some serious shit to go down over the next couple of years. I mean, the U.S. is already sabotaging the crap out of themselves from participating in this financial system. The SEC is harming the industry merely because of how they're presenting a fact finding, or is it a fact finding? Whatever they're doing, they're hurting investors by driving market action, like what happened here. This candle almost assuredly was because of the SEC announcing their involvement with Coinbase and the Lend product. So the SEC literally caused this price action. And then it takes time for the fear to subside. But now the fear has, and the market is performing accordingly. That's incredible. You know, you would think that there's a class action lawsuit possible for the SEC announcing something without careful tone. And the whole point of their organization is to protect investors. And if they're announcing an investigation, you better do it in a way that protects investors. Because if you're announcing an investigation, it's going to tank the market 10%. That's not protecting investors. That's literally doing harm. That's crazy. They're out of their mind. They are so detached from how the system works. They're causing the antithesis of their mandate. They better have some damn social media experts, PR experts, marketing experts on hand to be surgical about how they announce fucking anything. Anything less is a failure for them to execute on their mandate to protect investors. They're actively causing harm to investors. That's crazy. 2710. Hey, Noah, Moon River on your radar yet? Cream and Lido just recently announced this for L1. It is not, my friend. Chris, throw a dart. I throw darts. How do you feel about Atom? Atom's a big deal. I've had a large Atom position for almost 2 years now. Atom fits into the China narrative. Pretty much all the Cosmos hubs fit into the China narrative, which means the digital yuan and the BSN. Go on Twitter, check out the BSN base, and you'll see the rabbit hole. And that's some serious Alice shit right there. Chris, Atom is finally back to where I bought it back in May. Yeah, it goes up and down. I had like a $2 entry on that bad boy. Very good on the Cosmos. Yeah, we probably going to see resistance at this level if people are selling off from May highs to break even. I don't know who's selling any of this shit. Never sold a single atom. 2 years. It generates money. It generates a salary. It generates a recurring revenue stream. Albeit inflationary, so it's not necessarily the monetary policy I want the most. But as long as adoption is greater than the inflation rate, of which, what's the potential adoption? The China narrative, the whole country of China and the digital yuan globally. Massive, massive adoption potential. So, yeah, let there be an inflation rate. Adoption will be greater than inflation. If anything proves that adoption greater than inflation makes a protocol, a monetary policy sustainable, at least for a period of time, it's X. The whole protocol is based on adoption greater than inflation. And it works because the whole globe, the whole planet of people is the potential adoption. And it's been working and it's been appreciating as such because of that reality. Garner, I started reading the white paper for BSN. Haha. From my understanding, it's going to be the Chinese AWS for DApps. Yeah, blockchain DApps on Ethereum, Polkadot, and IrisNet. And if you're on IrisNet, you're on all the Cosmos hubs. Wow, I'm dropping frames left and right. This is horrible. I got my new computer today, guys. So tomorrow's stream, I got 64 gigs of RAM, so I'm gonna have a much better experience. That'll be nice. Can you expand on Ohm? No idea how it works. It basically generates a reserve protocol, much like the Federal Reserve. Um, it's interesting. It's shadowy supercoder type shit. Doesn't totally hit my fancy. That's probably the best sentiment I could explain. The yields are extraordinary, which means it's going to debase extensively. But as per description of the protocol, the yield will outperform the debasement as the protocol grows, which is like adoption greater than the inflation rate type narrative. And I think that's what it really reduces to. So I like it because it's novel. It's very creative and it's new. So it's not something I've deployed capital to. Do I know people that have deployed capital to it? Yes. Could have been part of the initial bootstrapping of the Wonderland protocol. Yes. My transparency. I must be transparent. Did I participate? No. It's just not consistent with what I want. What I want to do. Killis, a pleasure. Andrew, pleasure. Daniel, Noah, good to see you, buddy. Pleasure. Elliot, you're a positive guy and you don't talk bad mostly about chain protocol coins. It's all good. Why do you shy away from talking about Terra Luna? It doesn't have the cross-chain interop that I like that much, or it's missing components that I'm interested in. I don't really shy away from it. I don't have much interest in it. True doubts are just not a focus for you. That's correct. I don't have doubts. A lot of these protocols are extraordinary, and I find them all wonderful experiments. It's just not of interest to me. Like Avalanche and Phantom and Solana. Look at how much capital flow is going on. That's more of an interest to me. And how do I capitalize on it? Curve. that I've deployed. I deployed to XBoo. I deployed to XJO, and I ended up putting it back in Curve. CVX CRV, because I don't need exposure to those assets because I'll get that exposure from my core protocol, core choice of protocols. What's your thoughts on Chainlink? I think there's going to be a lot of competition. Um, yeah, that's my opinion. Great work. Impressed with your thesis. Have I adopted a lot of your ideology? Mind over body. It's a pleasure. I hope it helps. Am I doing the best thing? I don't know. What am I? I'm a dividend investor. If I was doing this stuff in the '80s when I was like 5 years old, I would have been a dividend investor. New computer, Noah on high def. Yeah, that'd be nice. I hope it works better. 64 gigs of RAM will make a big difference for the extent of work that I do. So I look forward to it very much. Comes in a couple hours. Um, yeah, I have no interest in liquidating Adam, Daniel. It's a revenue generating machine, and 5, 10 years. I, what's the point in selling it? You never sell the core position, you sell the interest as a revenue stream. That's the play. It's all about revenue streams. How much money are you making at the end of the week? Got to get that paycheck. Got to run that pizza shop. Garner, but here's a quote directly from the technical white paper that scares me. A public city node, hereinafter PCN, is the basic organization element of the BSN, while the node part, well, it's all centralized in many regards, or at least it's going to be controlled by the totalitarian nature of the Chinese government. So what's pertinent is how the blockchains work. And you can participate in a very totalitarian, censor interested government uh, using these decentralized blockchains like Cosmos Hubs, Polkadot, and Ethereum. You gaining exposure to them in a decentralized, which is a secure way. That's my opinion. Diesel Hound, we can do better. That's right. 55 people in the stream, 16 likes. We can do better. Matthew, what gives you the conviction that Curve won't be in the crosshairs of the SEC? It's irrelevant. The contracts are deployed on Ethereum and other chains, and there's no admin keys. There's no one person. There's no multi-sig that updates them. It's controlled by the DAO, which requires a vote. So if the SEC wants to invoke change on any of the Curve protocol components, they're going to have to buy a shitload of Curve and vote and propose a vote in the DAO. You see, that's fascinating because there's no portal to take down. All the portals for Curve are hosted on IPFS, so there's no you can't go to the operator of a hosting service and say turn off this website. It doesn't work like that with IPFS, and you can have spin up an unstoppable domain that's censorship resistant. So the Curve is censorship resistant. They're decentralized. Very few protocols have done it to the extent that they've done it. Like Uniswap's done it. So very censorship resistant. Name is easily confused with a blockchain node. PCNs are not blockchain nodes. Furthermore, the BSN itself is not a chain. In fact, each PCN is a resource pool used to allocate a portion of the computing power. Sure, the BSN isn't a chain. The BSN is an organization. Go onto the BSN website and look at the bottom and look at the founding partners. That's what gets me interested. Who created the BSN? I could easily reduce it to say it's basically the Chinese government, an extension of the Chinese government. That's huge. And you could interact with this organization that's deploying business-centric DApp tools and utilities nationwide, and Ethereum and Polkadot and Cosmos is integrated. That's extraordinary. Storage bandwidth, resources from the cloud. Yeah, everything you're saying is extraordinary to me. And well, my biggest worry is that China is significantly further along with regard to deploying blockchain technology to its citizens. How spread out do you think one should be with low, mid five figures in their portfolio? Oh, it's a subjective analysis. And the only thing I could give you as a point of reference, I have 6 assets that constitute 90% of my portfolio. Food for thought. Have you given thought about how hard your dollar denominated yields will inflate away when the dollar ultimately devalues? The dollar denominated yields go up in value if I'm getting a certain amount of capital denominated in dollars, and I expect these yields to go significantly higher. Don't forget your BTC allocation. Um, yeah, I'm not too interested in the BTC allocation, understanding the technologies that have been deployed and the monetary policies. I find the monetary policies of DeFi protocols much more interesting than the monetary policy of Bitcoin. So, which leaves, in my mind, the only argument for Bitcoin being adoption, which I expect countries to hold Bitcoin in reserve at increasingly more and more, which the tidal wave should start because of El Salvador. Um, but I don't think Bitcoin's is not for me. We can do, I can do better. What is better? Bitcoin doesn't generate a revenue stream. It's a collateral asset. It's not a very effective collateral asset compared to, the protocol tokens for the DeFi blockchains. So it doesn't really hit my investment thesis. I'm 38 years old. I don't need to store wealth. I need to generate recurring revenue streams. Listen, if I was 60 years old, I'd probably have all my capital just in Bitcoin. So that's what it comes down to. You have to, age is a factor in how you deploy capital. And, thinking like an investment advisor, if someone was like 50 or 60, I'd probably very much, and they had like, $5 million life savings, they were about to go into retirement. I'd probably say a healthy amount of Bitcoin in a portfolio is quite reasonable. So, but being an investment advisor for myself, that's not suitable for where I am and where I want to get to and my age. So for myself, not very into Bitcoin. It doesn't make much sense. It's not a functional asset, and I need functional, productive assets, not just stores of value. Complicated, but I've been thinking about that a lot lately. You need Starlink, my man. Starlink, as in Tesla's internet. If that's the case, that's awesome stuff. So for osmosis, do you reinvest the yield? Do you pocket it? For now, I've just been letting it sit and accumulate, and a lot of it I've been allocating to IrisNet. So a lot of the yield has been going to IrisNet because IrisNet is the specific Cosmos hub that's integrated with the BSN, and that piques my fancy significantly because IRITA operates on IrisNet, is providing the business solutions for China, the country. The country of China, facilitated by the BSN, a business operation created by the biggest companies in China, tech companies, which is basically all state controlled. China. You guys know what I'm saying. Daniel, I got in a 367 and it's 491. Not sure whether to unstake, claim profit, or hold and take rewards. I don't have recommendations for what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm not. Osmosis is highly inflationary, a couple 100% per year. That's quite inflationary. It's your choice. For me, I'm interested in quite interested in Iris, not. Cosmos hits my fancy. BAM protocol hits my fancy. Give you a lot of Oracle providers. There's never a protocol one to rule them all. Chainlink is not for everything. It's cool. It's a big deal, but there's a lot of competition, a lot of choices and options. It was like in the China, right? Isn't that the craziest narrative? That's crazy. And the India narrative's still on the table. Not something I deploy to, though. Not deploying based on the India narrative. Deploying based on the China narrative. Can you give a detailed description of Joe and XJoe? I don't use XJoe. I've not deployed to it. I found that my interests lie more with CVX CRV position. So I had an XJoe and an XBOO position. That's just capitalizing on the growth of the Avalanche and the Phantom networks, respectively. There's big potential there, but why am I going to diversify away from a protocol, the Convex protocol, which is a derivative of Curve, which is deployed to the Avalanche and Phantom networks? I'm going to deploy to in multiple places to the same network. That's diversification. And whereas I'm at the point where I want concentration. Now look at this chart. I'm going to end on this chart. This chart's ridiculous. This is the CVX chart, the convex chart. This chart's extraordinary. Look at these wicks to the downside that were just consumed. And this wick to the upside was a clearing of the order book. Someone took a 5 mil position in convex. So this is a big. This is big. And this is, I don't own any convex. And if I ever got my convex, if I ever claim my gains, I'd liquidate it for CVX CRV. Convex CVX is an asset for protocols that control governance of the current monetary policy. CVX CRV, on the other hand, captures monetary policy emissions from liquidity providers as well as captures transaction fee revenue from the curve admin fee. CVX CRV is the asset for the people. CVX is the asset for the protocols that want to control governance over the current monetary policy. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're, a speculator, you can have a CVX position and watch this thing go to 20, 30, 40, $50 and reap some serious capital gains. But you guys know the deal. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested. I'm interested in missing out on 500% gains because I don't have the time, I don't have the effort, I don't have the patience, I don't want the exposure, the anxiety, the uncertainty, so on and so forth. I don't need it. And I won't make as much money as possible. I will not make as much capital gains as possible. Say it with me now. I will make less than I can. Winter in training. Oh, that's right. I'm not saying it like him. I was winter in training. I was not saying it like Trump. I didn't mean to. But I do recall that was a reference that he made. China. That's funny. Oh, man, that man is so satirical. You could literally just write cartoons about him. Is internet computer really an innovation of blockchain technology? What, ICP? Not much interest at all. Andrew, how often do you compound your convex? It's a personal choice, it's subjective. Bear in mind that's yield and that's it's an income. It's not even capital gains, it's literally just income. So food for thought, food for thought. Last couple questions, I'm going to wrap it up. Manes, hello, are there any other protocols that do? No, there is not. There is not. There's nothing that does what Convex does. TJ, you're very welcome. Tau, CVX voting bribes could be lucrative. Very, very. And Andre spun that up for VE Curve. So, yeah, that's a good point. CVX voting bribes could indeed be very lucrative, but that's a speculative statement. I avoid speculation and I like to operate more in a realm of certainty, confidence, and conviction. Yeah, Keeper, man. Yeah, I noticed Keeper. Beekeeper? Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, so I got is it six? Let me check my core profile, my core portfolio. One, two, three, four, five. Okay, I got six assets, large assets in my core portfolio. Um, Keeper's interesting. Um, Keeper's interesting to carve out a chunk for, particularly for V Keeper, state keeper for a productive asset that generates a salary, that generates a recurring revenue stream, and Andre's building a forex market for actual like stable coins around the world, like non-dollar denominated stable coins. That's crazy. He's building some next level shit, and if Keeper could tap that, yeah, I'm thinking about that. Chris, thanks, bro. First time I heard your voice. Started following you when I was mining DGB. Digi's cool. Love Digi. One of the most honorable projects in the entire crypto space. You guys know my opinion very much at this point. I asked you a question about the Digibuy wallet, and you responded, "Yeah, always did." And nowadays, I'm a bit departed from the source code. I know they've been working on it, but I haven't been involved. I just have too much stuff going on. But all the best, all the best vibes and intentions for all the boys still working on it. Um, it's one of the most honorable UTXO assets out there. But honorable does not mean it's going to appreciate. I asked you a question. I got you. Nice hook, Tim. Yeah, pleasure, Toe. All right, Thursday, September 9th, 12:06 p.m. 53 people in the stream, 28 likes. We can do better. Let's wrap it up. Tell everyone to subscribe. After party on Discord. Office hours. I'm going to start cranking out some more office hours for you guys. So keep an eye, subscribe. So you'll get an email when I'm online. And I'll tweet as best possible when I'm online. But I'll try and help you guys out, one-on-one sessions if you have questions about what the hell's going on this planet, or you have questions about your portfolio. I'm more than happy to help to the best of my abilities. As always, thank you very much for joining. I wish you all a wonderful day, and I will see you again tomorrow. Peace.